Okay, see if the sound is working. I have a lot of problems with my webcam's sound. So before I really get started, I'll just wait for that. The Twitch load. Yep, okay, great. It's loading. So what we're going to do today is in all of our Steam games, we have... Make sure I balance that right. Yeah, okay. So in all of our Steam games, we have pretty decent mouse-only support, which is really important for people who use speech-to-text. Or not speech-to-text, sorry, speech recognition. They can mouse around our games just using their voice. So I'm going to run that a little bit right now. You won't be able to see the mouse grid, but mouse grid, mouse grid. 5, 6, 2, click. So you can see, you can't see the grid that it was showing on my screen. I don't think that doesn't come through the stream. But you'll notice that just using my voice clicked on the screen using the mouse. And that's a pretty reliable way to play all of our games. Mouse grid 5, 5, 2, click. So the one shortcoming with this is there's one thing you can't really do with just the mouse in our game, and that is to get out of our games and go back to the to other menus. And the reason for that is just because there's no visible mouse or visible pause or menu button. You have to press the escape key. Mouse grid. Mouse grid. 5, 8, 8, click. So when we're in here, if we could send key presses, press escape. Yeah. For some reason, our game doesn't recognize the key presses that come through Windows speech recognition. I haven't been able to find anything online. There's not a whole bunch of documentation on this kind of stuff. I don't think too many games really worry about their speech recognition report or support, which is kind of a shame. But when I figure stuff out, I'll try to make it more clear to people how this stuff works. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to put a physical button on the main game screen of each of our games now, so that people who are playing with speech recognition can click that. And I do know that some people play with speech recognition, so which is actually how I learned about all this stuff to begin with. Is it players mentioned it? So so I'm going to look for a decent icon. Another thing we could try is Nuvola icons. A lot of our icons are using this, but I need something sufficiently generic. So that could be a reasonable one. Might not be obvious enough what's going on there. Yeah, nothing's really jumping out at me as a super appropriate menu button. Okay. Probably start with KMenu edit to begin with. I thought there was a better one. There was one that looked kind of like that, but with less squares, more long rectangles. All right. Well, regardless, go to game common and add this in texture since all the games will be using it. Maybe I put. No, I don't have a menu image in here yet. This is 64 pixels, which should be decent. The way our project works now, we're gonna have to open up another content project or another project. So like, well, I'm working with Hive to start with. So there's a solution, and then add the menu to game common in there. Oops, I need Hive's content project or content solution. Yeah. So put the menu image in there, and then when we rebuild the content projects for each game, it should show up. Yeah. Okay, so that seems to be the right setting. Set it as a monogame texture. And then we'll kick off this rebuild. Hopefully that doesn't freeze everything else I'm doing on the computer. Alright, and then while the content project is rebuilding, or content solution, we'll go in here and look at the views. So what we need to do is add it to the board, or the Hive HUD view. So the HUD just lays over everything. I'm going to figure out how it is we're pulling up the menu right now. Okay, it's right here on the Hive game screen. Hidden entry. I'm pretty sure it's image button. There you go. So, you know what, I'm going to put this up one level at screen. I'm going to put it in game screen so that they can all use this pause button. So, let me go into all of our stuff. Image button class is kind of newish. Let's see what we do here. Okay. All right. So, almost done creating the actual button. So it's like, so that's the image, it's the mouse over, pressing, releasing, all that stuff. So I'm not sure we have any global methods for pausing. Yeah, we don't. That's a little weird. Oh, game controller has it. So we have a basic button tied to pausing, but ideally we should put it one level up into pause or into game screen, because right now it's in board game screen. Technically, if we made a game that's not a board game, we'd still want some visible pause button, probably. Okay, so we did move it up one level. Take game screen. Pause button in there. Okay. I still have speech recognition open. Okay, no. So now we have this button. We just have to lay it out on the screen. Let's see where I usually do that. Okay, I have to set the position and add it. So the game screen can actually just have the button on it. It doesn't need to be inside of the HUD, for example, because this is just the HUDs are per player anyway. So, well, I guess it has 2 player representations on it in Hive. So this stop. So in Hive, we're just going to throw it on there and see what happens. That should be way in the top left. I should have done 500. Yeah, I'll do that before I even test it. That'll put it out in the middle of the board somewhere. Probably a little more to the right and down in the center. Whoops. Did not mean to run chess. Meant to run Hive. My camera's still moving today. That's progress. I knocked down the resolution so that it's much smaller. It seems to have helped a little bit. Hey. I don't see it. Did a rebuild there to hopefully pull in the extra content projects so she gets the new image. See if that helps at all. So I'm going to dig into the log a little bit. We're in release. Yeah, couldn't find the asset. I was pretty sure I had rebuilt this. Okay, that'll be a while. In the meantime, I can think of a better way to position it. I'll look at the HUD view, see how it positions the player 2 representation. Okay, that's still going. Ike. Yikes. Alright. The content project really hurts. Oops, really hurts the computer while it's rebuilding. Yeah. So once this works, we'll probably want to position it to the left of the right HUD, perhaps. Running the game through Steam at this moment to come on now. Yeah. Okay, it's having problems dealing with me building the content solution. It looks like the webcam froze too, probably because the content project is rebuilding. So I'll use something like okay. Okay, so if that works, we're gonna run cat. My computer really doesn't like rebuilding a content project while running a game and streaming all at the same time. It is not enjoying this. Yeah. I think I'm just gonna have to wait for the content project to rebuild. The content projects take so long to build that we broke them off into their own solutions. So we wouldn't have to rebuild them very often, only when we added new assets and stuff like that. That prevented a lot of problems where in Visual Studio there's all these shortcuts for building solution is F6 when really we don't want to build a whole solution. There's a lot of games in here. And there was a lot of content. We just wanted to like build a single project. So that would happen by accident, and then debugging things, start debugging and stuff like that. And there's like step over and step into. And if you end up pressing the wrong function key at any time while you're developing, you would end up rebuilding all the content projects, and that would freeze your computer for like half an hour. So we split out the content projects into their own, each into their own game. So Hive has its own content project. It has Game Commons content and Board Game Commons content, but it doesn't have like the content for chess and Ket and Reversi and all that. So each game's content project is still minimal. Yeah. Yeah, it's still really in pain right now, because right now it's showing in the Solution Explorer, it's showing the contents of the other solution, the blue line solution, which is all the code, even though the title bar, there we go, you can see it just clicked into place. That's how in pain it is right now while it's rebuilding the content. And I have SSDs here too. There we go. Okay, so now rebuilding that will move the content that was diff compiled, moves it into the right place, and now we'll see if as long as I didn't cause permanent damage to the computer, it's going to require a reboot, then we should be able to run Hive here in a sec. Oh dear. Okay, there's Hive. Coming back. Wow. Yeah, my computer really didn't like all that rebuilding. I might have to restart Visual Studio because this is just unworkable. Like my mouse isn't even responding. Okay, there we go. There, okay, so the menu button is on screen now. Yay! So, just to make sure everything's how I would expect, I'll pop up speech recognition. Mouse grid. 5, 7, 3, click. Cool, okay. So, that's the the major weakness we had in the UI for touch support. Click. Mouse grid 6, 8, 8, click. 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 Yeah, I'm kind of curious. There's also, you don't even have to click things with mouse grid, so check this out. Mouse grid 6, 6, 1, 1, move mouse. So, you know, none of the mouse is over there. It's interesting that it had the menu bar covered. I'm going to try that again and see what happens. Mouse grid 6, 6, whoops, cancel. Mouse grid 6, 6, 4, 7, move mouse. Yeah, okay. So as long as that you don't have the window selected like that, you can just move the mouse and even get hovers and things like that, which is going to be, you know, fairly important in our next game. There's going to be a lot of tool tips in there. So because we can get mouse support in, will be good. Or because like existing speech to text already supports, you know, just moving the mouse over stuff. It should be pretty decent. It'll be harder for mouse only users to realize that there are tooltips if they're not moving their mouse around with the voice a lot to start with. But once they figure that out, it shouldn't be an issue. Might be best to publish some accessibility guidelines too. We've gone through a lot of work to make sure that the game will work with just keyboard or just mouse or just gamepad if needed. But some of the features aren't very well documented. You might kind of have to fool around. We tried to go with conventions wherever possible. There's a lot of, you know, left click to pick up the piece, right click to let it go. But on the gamepad, you A to select and B to let go. But like keyboard, for example, you pick up a piece with enter and you let go of it with backspace. But you know, you'd have to read through our controls page to notice that there's not like a specific keyboard controls cheat sheet. You'd have to read through all the controls, which I don't think anyone really does very much of. Okay, so now I guess the question is, where are we going to throw this menu button? I think a reasonable place would be one of these corners. This corner is taken, that one and that one are both taken by users. So we just throw it down there. And maybe a reasonable way to do this would be to ask the HUD view where the bottom right of this image and the bottom right of that image are. If we can steal the Y value from this one, the X value from this one, and put the bottom right of this button there. Or steal the top right and the top right. I think this icon is a really weird size though, if I recall. Something like 86 pixels or something pretty non-standard. It's just the Steam avatar, so I mean, I'm sure that goes way back years and years because Steam's been around like, what, like 15 years almost now? Yeah, so anyway, I'll ask the HUD for those positions. And then we'll have it positioned in Hive. Reposition name and picture. So this method knows all of the positioning values for the pictures. Man. Yeah, so the y offset of the bottom one is actually all calculated. So trying to extract some values here to make it a little more reusable. And then remove this, we got some red lines. So now we'll make methods to actually calculate the locations. So we're subtracting this value here below, but now that's inside of the method we're using to get the starting value. Oh, we need the pick height. Whew. The title safe thing, that's a throwback to Xbox. We don't really have title safe issues on PC, but it's still, considered nice to stay away from the very edge of the screen. Do we use this anywhere else? Down here we use it. Okay. Okay. So what we've done is extract the positioning for the HUDs, and then hopefully we can say, actually, I can just make these public and use that to build the location of the pause button. It's all in player representation. Player 1's always on the left, player 2 is always on the right. So we can just wrap those accesses that I had with so now these just wrap the hoods. The reason we still have it tied to the player representations, is because some of these values are based on whether or not the player is computer or not, stuff like that. So okay, so it's entirely possible that we would reasonably position menu button now. So something didn't like the order of operations of me calling that when I did. Yeah, just like no player representation yet or something. Still running a little laggy. I mean, I told it to run and we're not seeing the game window, so that's pretty bad. What is going on here? So I guess we just have to sit here and wait patiently for the computer to compute. Come on. This is bad. Alright, so as soon as this actually runs, I'm going to restart the Visual Studio, because it's clearly like beyond help. Wow. Okay, I'm going to restart Visual Studio right now, because it's just not doing anything. Come on. Some of those problems with like any big project you're working on with computers, like this is a fairly beefy computer, and it just can't seem to handle it because, you know, to do this project I have like a ton of stuff running. I want to stream, so OBS is taking up like half of my system's resources on its own. And then I have all these tabs up in browsers. No, it's still pretty pathetic. That's a problem. Must have disk issues. I don't know. Regardless, hopefully this button is laid out correctly. It's kind of absurd that it's taking like a minute to do a single test, though, because that kind of stuff adds up. All right, there you go. There's this menu button. That's pretty solid. I'm wondering what it's lined up to, like the center of the image or something. It's possible that those HUD images are. Let me see. Tag sprite, gamer picture. I don't know. Position plus half of its width. Yeah. Would have been nice to have more comments, but I don't know, it must have thought it was pretty self-evident. Times the scale. I didn't take that scale into effect at all. Okay, so there's a couple things we could do. Could set an origin. I mean, this HUD really should return the scaled value. Yeah, so much of our positioning is just, you know, pixel pushed around. Like there's, you know, didn't look right, so we adjusted it by like 20 or 40 pixels here and there. I wonder if that led to better results in the end or not. I mean, some of these algorithms might be off. Like we use the picture scale and to affect where we place the X placement, but not but we don't use it to affect the Y placement, which is kind of silly. Like recording the stream or something stupid. No, okay. Because it seems like hard drives must be really getting owned by this because it's going really slow to start the game up. All right. Yeah. So the menu button doesn't seem to be. I mean, it's better lined up on the X now. It's still a little lower than I'd expect, but it's pretty good. All right, so that's Hive. We just got to slam that thing into Ket and Reversi, and we'll be good to go. We got to find a good spot for it on Ket too. So now with that menu button that's now going to be in Hive, then I think the entire game is screen reader compatible for mouse only play. Ket, I think this is also the only thing that it's missing, so if we can get it in there. Wow. Resource monitor. Let's play versus computer. Yeah, I think we could just slam the menu button in the very top right over there. I think that wouldn't harm anything. Coloring's a bit weird for Ket, maybe, but we'll see if that has any effect on it. So we'll grab the positioning out of Hive game screen and just find Ket game screen and put it in there. Oh, awesome. Ket game screen already has a pause game functionality. Kind of built in anyway, but like we just added it to game screen. So now we just added the pause button. We got to position it when this screen is shown. Actually, I could reposition it in the constructor. because we don't have to wait for players to exist or anything like that. Because we're just going to put it all the way on the top right of the screen. There it is. Let's get 10 pixels around itself. Okay, so we want the full width of the screen minus the pause button minus the padding around it. And then for the Y value, we just need the padding around the button because it's going to be right next to the top. Since everything's still weird, it's going to take a bit to build. I don't know if it's OBS or what it is, but my computer does not seem to be recovering from whatever happened to it. I think that's just really bad and not normal. I mean, a game can run in 2 seconds after you hit launch, so running in debug mode should take 2 seconds if everything's working right. I mean, it runs fine once it's booted. Interesting, it's not showing up. Oh, probably because I need to go rebuild the content project for Ket now, too. Yup, we know what that did last time to the computer. So, I'm going for just shy of an hour here, but so I might just wrap up the stream because you don't need to watch me rebuild the content project for another half an hour or so. We'll rebuild all the content projects, but yeah, just that menu button is going to show up now in Hive, and then soon in Ket and Versity I'll get that squared away, and then that'll complete the accessibility to make it so that mouse-only players won't have any problems with their games. So that'll be pretty cool to get that far. It also, another side benefit of that is it opens up the path for touch functionality, because we want to eventually make these games a lot more touch-friendly than they are. So they can be played on all-in-ones, like Intel all-in-one computers, and kind of unlikely we'll ever go to mobile, just because we'd have to completely redo all of our interfaces to fit on tiny little screens. But, it's a possibility. You could at least go to, I mean, people who have all-in-ones, that's getting more and more popular, and even like Microsoft Surface, that kind of thing, where you have touch-friendly normal computers rather than, specifically mobile tablets running like Android or iOS. So those will be supported. The all-in-ones should be supported pretty soon here. And once you're mouse-only friendly, all you got to do is convert some of the touch things to mouse commands, and it should be pretty straightforward. All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for this stream. I'll keep working on getting those buttons in there. Let's just do it off the stream because it's not terribly fun to watch this spinning cursor here. All right, so when you see those menu buttons pop up in game, you'll know why they're there now instead of just hidden under the escape key. And if you use any of our accessibility features, like if you play with with speech recognition or with special gamepads or something, let us know how it's going, because this is just all hypothetical when we mess with it, because I typically play with mouse and keyboard, and I mean I have a gamepad plugged in, but I usually play with both and just do whatever feels faster at the moment. So if you have any specific gaming style that you have to use and you've used our games, let us know if it's working out, or if you know, there's some interaction that's really annoying and or impossible. Because previously, for example, someone with using speech recognition couldn't get out of a game without closing out the window. That was the way they had to do it because the menu button wasn't visible there, and there was no way to simulate the escape key. You had to literally close the game and just start another one after each match, which is, you know, it's a clever workaround, but it's also just abnormally frustrating for them to have to do that. And it's better for them to just be able to click the button now. So anyway, we'll get that button in there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, hopefully with, well, we're running out of accessibility stuff to do because we're getting pretty accessible. So that's a fantastic